get started. Somebody give me a thumbs up if they got the, okay, great. All right, good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, 6:30 p.m. And this is a meeting of the advisory committee. First up on our agenda is we're gonna review and vote on operating budget items. We just have a couple of things that we need to vote on. So I'm going to share my screen and we will go through those in order. Okay, so you should all be able to see my screen right now. We're in the expenditures tab. And the first one that we need to vote on is the town buildings budget. And I wanted to call your attention to a change here. So I spoke with our DPW director, Randy Haglin, on Monday, just to try to get a handle on how things are looking for FY23, our current fiscal year, and also to revisit whether the original number that we budgeted, which was $117,000 for repairs and maintenance of town buildings, was really looking like it was going to be realistic. And basically, at the end of the day, we don't. I mean, if you look at the actuals for 2021, we were at almost 130. The actuals last year were higher at 155. This year, we're definitely going to go over the 117. And a big chunk of that can be considered sort of unforeseen. So we can use our advisory reserve fund for some of it, but for next year, it would just make sense to increase it to something closer to what we think the actuals are going to be. And Randy thought that 135 was a step in the right direction. It was sort of a happy medium between, well, not exactly between 21 and 22, but between our budgeted amount for last year and the actuals in 2022. Do folks have questions about that? Okay, if there are no questions, then I think what we need is a motion to approve the total town buildings budget for 159,650.
I move we approve the total town buildings budget for 159,650.
I'll second it.
Okay, great. Roll call: Craig,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay, thank you. All right, building inspector. Don't freak out because it looks like we're suddenly spending $100,000 more under this account because there is an offsetting revenue of $100,000 anticipated in local receipts for inspections. And Nahnatchka, do you want to just explain what's going on here?
Yep. So because we've never had an apartment building in Bolton, there's obviously additional inspections above and beyond what all of the inspectors are salaried for. You know, they're paid on a salary basis based on, you know, kind of what they do in a general year. This is going to be above and beyond it. So the developer will be paying for those inspections. But I did speak to DOR Legal, and really the revolving fund wasn't the way to do it. They advised that putting it in the budget, putting it in as local receipts, so they net each other out, but that's the cleanest way to do it.
And just so people know where it is. So if we go to our revenue tab,
it's in local receipts
under the local receipts,
under licenses and permits.
So it's right in here.
Yep, you should see a comment.
Yep. Okay, and then just out of curiosity, do we think that this new line will basically be in for the duration of the project if it goes more than one fiscal year?
I do not know the answer to that question.
No idea.
No.
It will be there for as long as needed. I suspect the project will span into a second fiscal year.
Okay. Um,
Hey,
all right, well, that all makes sense. Sorry, go ahead. Question from Greg.
yeah, just to maybe educate me. I mean, are building inspections only done on new buildings, or is this an ongoing thing? We every year we need to re-inspect, or every certain number of years?
The building inspectors, the inspectors, which is electric, plumbing, and the building inspector, are paid a stipend monthly. So we don't normally charge per inspection. This is an exceptionally large project at 229 units for the new development at 580 Main Street. So we needed to come up with a mechanism to pay them for inspections as needed for that project, which is over and above anything else that they normally do.
Don,
But
if
I-
I may, I was just going to interject that I think that what he was asking is if the inspections are part of the building process or if they're a annual recurring inspection. And the answer is that it's part of the building process.
Yeah, it's just building.
Correct.
Just
Correct.
a building project.
Okay.
Okay. So
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
no, that's helpful. Actually, I didn't know the answer to the way you explained it as well. So this is not a expense we will see in the future. It's a one time, and the developer will cover it.
Pretty much,
correct.
yes.
Correct.
Got it. Thanks.
Actually, Greg, this is an interesting question. And Jenny, I don't know if you know the answer, but because this is kind of the first big apartment building, does anybody know if there are kind of ongoing inspection requirements for a big apartment building, like even after construction is done?
There are not. Once the construction is done, it's just like any other dwelling unit, if you want to look at it that way.
Okay.
Each unit has individual electric and plumbing and CO2 and smoke detectors and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so basically what we do is we need to have a motion to approve the new total building inspector line at 137,393.
I move we approve the new building inspector budget at 137,393.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm yes also. Okay, we have our Neshoba number to vote on. It didn't change last week when the school committee voted it. So the total for Neshoba Regional School District is 17,516,593. Is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve the Neshoba Regional School District budget of $17,516,593.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
and Greg.
Aye.
Okay, then we have the Minuteman Regional Vocational Technical Assessment. Just wanted to give a quick update on this. So we're not going to change the number right now, but I had a phone call from Nikki Andrade, who's the finance person for Superintendent Dawson. And what she said was, once the governor's budget is finalized, if the Chapter 70 numbers end up being higher the way that they look to be right now, such that member town assessments could be dropped, they will very likely have a school committee meeting to vote on, lowered assessments for the member towns. But she thought it was unlikely that that would all be completed before May 1st, our annual town meeting. If it is completed before May 1st, she'll let us know the numbers so that we could consider revising this at town meeting floor. And if it's after May 1st, it would just be flowing into free cash for FY24, because we wouldn't be able to change the appropriation at that point. Any questions about that? Okay, so is there a motion to approve the Minuteman assessment for $1,199,459?
I move we approve the Minuteman assessment at or budget at $1,199,459.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
and I'm a yes also. We had just left highway and transfer station open in case Randy recommended any changes there, which he's not, so we don't have to change anything, we just need to vote on the number. So for
I move-
highway, it's a total of 967,673.
I move we approve the total highway budget of $967,673.
Okay, roll call. Craig.
I'll
Aye.
second that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, Bob. Roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm yes also. And then transfer station, is there a motion to approve for 267,290?
I move we approve the transfer station budget at $267,290.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm yes also. Okay, so that covers the operating expenditures. I'm sure I'll be pulling this spreadsheet up in a second, but because I saw that Bob Zakansky had joined, he and I had a quick call. He has a public service announcement, not on the agenda because it's sort of a last minute thing. It couldn't have been reasonably anticipated, but I think it's worth it. So Bob, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Brian. Good evening, Advisory Committee. I would like to extend an invitation for you to attend the tours of the high school that are coming up in April. There's one on April 1st. There's a second on April 29th. As sort of the financial thought leaders here in town, it'd be useful for you to understand what the issues are at the high school. My understanding is the tour will include areas not normally open to the public. So that'll make it more interesting, but you can, to sign up, you go to the school building committee website and go down to the calendar, and there's click on the sign up button there. So I hope you can attend. There's two tours. I'm sorry. There are 2 tours this Saturday at 10 and noon. And I assume the same schedule for the 29th of April. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. And I put the sign up link in the chat.
Oh, excellent.
So people have it. All right, awesome. Moving right along, we are going to now review and vote on the articles in the town meeting warrant. So I wanted to thank our town secretary and town administrator for sending us the ever-changing version. So thank you very much. And
Brian, before you go ahead with that, do you want to talk about the free cash in the budget? Or is that just is what it is?
Oh, yeah, we should, it's it'll be covered in the statement, but we could talk about it
Okay.
now. We
No,
could
that's
look at
fine.
Does
Okay.
it impact Article 3? If it impacts Article 3, you're gonna want to talk about it.
We don't have numbers for Article 3 yet, do we?
No, but basically we're going to use 115,000 of overlay and whatever that number is in the sheet for free cash, 500 something thousand. And
Yeah.
ARPA funds.
Okay, hold on a sec.
I'll finish the spreadsheet tomorrow and you'll have the clean version.
Okay, hold on one sec. Okay. So we're looking at the revenue tab, and I think the things to know is that, so we've got the amount that we're going to be raising through the levy, 26.1 million. So that's the levy limit plus the debt exclusion. Then we've got state revenue, 296. Total estimated local receipts of 2.1 million, and that includes the additional 100,000 for the inspections that we talked about. 115 in overlay reserve, 91,000 for in ARPA funds, and as we discussed, that's largely going to be put toward the costs of some of the salary adjustments based on the salary and wage study. 75,000 in ambulance receipts reserved. And then when we go over to the main tab, to make us whole, we're also going to be using $579,370 of free cash out of our certified balance of 1.2 million. So that's the way that the budget looks now. You'll see it in the draft statement too. These numbers are kind of collected in one place instead of going from tab to tab. But does anybody have questions about this right now?
Brian, if I could, so that, I assume I already know the answer, but this is, that number supports the full funding of OPEB, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
And Brian, that still leaves us above our target for free cash.
Yes, it leaves us with just over 600,000, and our target is 350. Anyway, we're going to get into some of this when we talk about the stabilization fund in connection with Article 11, because I'm going to want to run through a spreadsheet that I created for tonight. But yeah, the free cash will be over 600,000.
No,
Any other-
I'm fine with all of this, and maybe separately, we need to have a discussion about this target of 350 for free cash. I think that's not the right number anymore. But I think we should take whatever we need from free cash, and I'm supportive of funding OPEB fully. We shouldn't be partially funding anything right now.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to get the warrant again. Can everybody see that? Okay, so Article 1 is to accept the annual reports. Is there a motion to approve Article 1?
I move we approve Article 1.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm a yes also. Thank you. Article 2 is to pay the unpaid bills for FY22. You can see them listed right there. It's not a ton of money. Go
I
ahead.
move we approve Article 2.
I'll second it.
All right, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Greg. Sorry, I went out of order. Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm a yes as well. Nanachka, I don't know how we want to handle this because we don't have the numbers in it right now. Actually, let me ask, sorry, I'm disorganized tonight. If we had a very quick meeting later this week, or even early next week to approve the numbers in both this and the statement, would people be able to get together for like 5 to 10 minutes? Maybe on like Thursday night?
Sure.
I cannot do Thursday. I'm out of town.
Okay, what could you do like Monday, next Monday?
Yes, I'll be back Sunday night.
Okay, what about, can everybody else do a quick one next Monday?
That works for me.
Maybe Greg, you're not sure?
I'm gonna be on a flight. If we do it at the normal time, 6:30. Sorry, I wasn't
Okay,
prepared for Monday.
no problem. All we need is 4.
Right.
So basically we could do it Thursday or Monday. I'll just figure it out. Just quick question to Jenny. If we did it on Monday, would that be getting too close to crunch time for you?
Sorry, I couldn't get the button to work. Nope, that's not a problem at all for me.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I think we're all in favor of the operating budget. So I guess we could just, we can vote in favor of this article once we have the numbers. But let me just ask now, does anybody have any concerns about the operating budget as we went over it in the spreadsheet tonight? Everybody's good with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So we'll go back to Article 3. Article 4 is just to reapprove the spending limits of the revolving fund accounts, which is something we do every year.
I move we approve Article 4.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm yes also. Okay, Article 5 is the amendment to the regional school district agreement. There's the summary right here. Long story short, over the past 2 years, there's been a regional agreement amendment advisory committee reviewing for updates and changes. That the revised agreement was presented to the school committee. They spent a couple meetings looking at it. It was unanimously approved on March 1st. And then the member towns all have to vote in favor of it as well.
I
There's a-
move we approve Article 5.
So Brian, I read through the agreement and I actually have a concern.
Okay, what the revised agreement?
Yeah, I think it's the revised agreement. Let's see.
I had trouble with that link, by the way. Did others?
I finally, I had to cut and paste it and finally was able to get to it, but it took me a while.
Okay, thanks.
So I think it's the revised agreement. My concern is with the role of the school committee and the budget. And basically it says the committee is responsible for adoption of a budget, which to me is very vague and almost sounds like the committee will get handed a budget and they will just adopt it. I was surprised not to see some details like the committee will play an integral role in the development, review, and approval of a budget.
Yep.
We have, we've talked about in the past some of the concerns that the committee feels like it doesn't play a role in developing the budget, it just approves. And I think the way this agreement is written, that's exactly what will happen.
Well, Bob, this is Stan. I share your concern, and I have had numerous conversations with a number of our town reps, as well as with Leah Viverito on this, and I agree with you. And if you go back and look at the agendas for both the school committee as well as the budget and warrant subcommittee, which is supposed to be the subcommittee that deals with going through doing a deep dive in the budget, they don't. And you can see that. And you can, despite the fact that our reps coming in and talking to us saying that they were going to scrub that budget, they don't do that.
Right.
I believe, absent of the fact that they took out that very strong word about prepare in the regional agreement, I think there's sufficient language in both the Neshoba Regional School District School Committees online, whatever the operating policies or whatever that are on the budget, and stuff in Mass General Law. And I think this needs to be a conversation that we have with our school district, school committee members in our town and a larger whole. And I'm not going to speak for Stowe, but I know Stowe has similar concerns that we have. I think, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, because you were on the committee to do all that. I think, you know, we need to get the regional agreement squared away. But I think this whole issue of what the school committee's responsibility for dealing with and reviewing and managing the budget is a separate topic, which we need to bring up at a future meeting. Because by state law, the towns can't do anything about this. I mean, you and I and select boards, we have no control over that. And it should be the school committee that's riding herd over the district. And if you go back and look at one of the meetings that they had dealing with this, both the school committee and the warrant and subcommittee meeting, they basically abdicated this to Kurt Downing, which is not acceptable to me at all. And I think we need to have a more unified what force or structure, whatever they want to call it, but that needs to occur at a future meeting and a future discussion, because I'm not satisfied. Quite frankly, the only time that the school committee ever did anything relative to investigating the budget was when Lorraine Ramasco was on the school committee and when she was chairman. It didn't happen years before, and it hasn't happened since Lorraine left and decided not to be on the school committee anymore. So I share your concern. I think the regional agreement needs to be updated. I think absent of that, I think the regional agreement is reasonable. But that's a separate topic we need to tackle, and I think we need to start tackling it right after all this is done, and we should be starting come June of this year and through the next budget cycle, because it's not acceptable to me that we're handing over 17 million bucks of the town's money, and nobody's looking at that, and nobody's looking at what the district is spending, and I'm kind of appalled at all that stuff. So another day, another fight.
Well, so I am leaning towards, at this point, not voting in favor of this. And I think what that may trigger is a question at town meeting as to why at least one member of the advisory committee voted against this, and may generate some controversy or discussion there. Not with the intent to really derail the agreement, but with the intent to have this discussion so that this can be sort of brought out in the public forum.
No, I do hear you, but if you go back and look, there's sufficient stuff in Mass General Law and their online operating chart, or whatever you want to call it, on their website that says that they have some responsibility to that. And the fact that they took out that one crucial word troubles me as well. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It bothers the crap out of me, but you know.
If I could just respond, Bob, to what you said, and first of all, I respect people's votes on this, however they want to do it. But if there's a concern about just kind of airing this point, I think that can be done even if there isn't a no vote. Like I think people are going to talk about this at town meeting. I think you or any member of the advisory committee can explain, I voted in favor, but I do continue to have this concern and state it. So I don't think you necessarily need to vote no with that. You'll still be able to express your concern about it if you voted yes. So, but again, totally up to you.
Yeah. Is there a concern that this agreement would get voted down, and what are the implications if that were to happen?
Yeah, I mean, if it gets voted down, then it means that we would still be operating under the existing agreement, which is technically out of compliance in some respects, most notably about the number of members on the school committee. The other thing that I would say is there is some really good new stuff in this agreement. So, you know, I think on the whole, it is a good revision. But Lorraine and I were both there on March 1st, and we both said that we didn't want them to remove the word prepare, but
Okay,
any other discussion or comments on that? Let me pull up the warrant again, or I don't have to until we vote on it. There was a motion and there was a second, I believe.
I don't think I heard a second.
No, we
Yeah.
didn't have either.
Okay, so we need a motion. Sorry, let's see what article it is.
5, I think.
Article 5. Yep.
I move we approve Article 5.
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you. Roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
I'm a nay.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm a yes also. Okay. Article 6 is basically, in summary, this is authorizing us to petition the legislature for special legislation that would change the town clerk position from elected to appointed, so that it wouldn't necessarily have to be a resident of Bolton. And I know that at the last select board meeting, our town administrator talked about just the nature of the position and specialization over recent years, where it's good to be able to compete for the most qualified person, whether or not they happen to live in Bolton. So is there any motion to approve?
I move we approve Article 6. Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay, Article 7 is amending the chapter in our bylaws that deals with cemeteries. This first section is to allow basically a fee system that's going to be deposited in the burial fund to help for the maintenance and upkeep of the cemeteries. And then this next part, so I know that we have a cemetery, but I didn't realize that we didn't have a bylaw that said there shall be a cemetery committee. So I think that that's what this does, although if Don Lowe wants to add anything to it, feel free.
No, you're correct. I have nothing to add.
Okay.
I move we approve Article 7.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm a yes also. Article 8 basically just allows the planning board to use bonds that were posted by a developer, allows the planning board to use the money to complete work that's required in the subdivision. If there are any questions, I think Don Lowe might be able to answer them.
So this is not for a particular operation, just at any point the planning board decides that the subdivision isn't doing its job. We can just,
The planning board would have to make a finding of default in its obligations, but yeah, it would give the planning board a lot more, I think, enforcement power.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that isn't there already.
Yeah, well, Craig, to be honest, the rules and regs for the subdivisions need to be beefed up a little. And town council is going to be working on that with the planning board. But yes, if a developer is found to be in default, this would give the the planning board the authorization to spend funds either from a bond or some whatever form of surety if the amount of money is in excess of $100,000. They can't spend over $100,000 without town meeting approval. And that's by Mass General Law.
It sounds like regardless of the 100,000 number, it sounds like this is talking about taking the bond or surety that the subdivision has already put in place, and therefore I would hope it would have no effect on our operating budget.
One would hope.
Okay,
So is there a motion on Article 8?
I move we approve Article 8.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm also a yes. Okay, Article 9 is to amend our bylaw on door-to-door solicitation. So we currently have a very short provision about solicitors, and this would replace that with the language that you see here. And as the summary explains, this is to get us into compliance with the requirements of the First Amendment. And also, just so that you know, a version of this bylaw has been implemented in the town of Clinton and was found to pass muster by the Mass AG's office. So like we shouldn't be concerned that if we implement this bylaw that we're still running afoul of the Constitution or anything. So it seems to be a good bylaw.
I notice the summary has an error in it.
Oh, what is it?
Notice the Bolton Police Department and display a photo idea.
Oh,
Probably should be ID.
ID, nice.
That's a good idea, Craig. Thank you.
Oh, please. Good job, Craig.
I will make that change. Thank you.
This goes to show, no matter how many times we read this,
Yeah, everybody's too close to it.
yeah. And that was a new edit as of yesterday, actually.
Okay,
Okay, is there a motion to approve Article 9?
I move we approve Article 9.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm a yes also. Okay, Article 10 is it's authorizing the select board to petition the legislature to basically create this legislation that would get the ball rolling to eventually allow the town to purchase certain land near Four Bush Mill Road. I think either one of our select board members or our town administrator could provide more details, but I think the important thing to know is that this doesn't commit the town to anything. It allows us to get the ball rolling. Is that right, Don?
Yes, Brian, that's absolutely correct. This is the first step in the process. All it does is provide the ability for the town, if it chooses to, at a future town meeting, to vote to acquire the land. You know, we don't, there's been no appraisal done yet. So we don't know what the cost would be. That's the short answer. Yes, this just gets the ball rolling. You're exactly right. It will take a future town meeting to actually execute the sale, the purchase, if the town so desires. So, and this binds us to nothing.
right.
Okay.
There's no commitment on our part at all. This is just a required first step to get stuff rolling at the state level and to allow this to happen, potentially allow this to happen.
Okay, is there a motion to approve Article 10?
I move we approve Article 10.
I'll second it.
Our roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm yes also. Okay, Article 11 is allowing the town to appropriate $345,000 from the stabilization fund to replace the original fire station roof, which has failed. And I do want to talk about how we would replenish the stabilization fund, because we would have to, under our financial policies, we do have to come up with a plan for replenishing it. But before we get into the details there, do folks have questions about Article 11? I know we talked about this when Don Lowe was in for the capital discussion. Okay, so is there a motion to approve Article 11?
I actually do have a question.
Oh, great.
Sorry. Fire station. Which building is this?
It is the building with the bay doors where the fire apparatus are stored. It's the structure that was there prior to the public safety building being built.
Right, it's the original fire station.
Right.
Okay. For some reason, I thought we were going to tear that thing down.
No, I
No,
think
that's the oldest fire station, Greg.
Okay.
So we
No,
have-
no, not the first fire station. It's the one right next, that's glued up next to the public safety building that has the fire trucks in it.
Okay.
That roof has never been replaced.
Correct.
Okay. 50 years is not, sorry. Yeah, sounds good. I move we approve Article 11.
I'll second it.
okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm yes also. Okay, Article 12. Fire engine 1 replacement. Basically, we want to authorize this, but we won't actually be incurring any debt costs in FY24.
I move we approve Article 12.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I'm a yes also. Okay, Article 13 is a citizen's petition. Just so you know, I'm going to highlight this. So all of this verbiage that you see here is taken exactly from the citizen's petition. And so the town hasn't edited or anything like that, because we take citizens petitions as we find them. And as you'll see, the select board did what we have also done in recent years, which is to not actually make a recommendation on a citizen's petition like this, but we can have a discussion if folks feel differently.
Maybe a quick one, Brian, just sort of before and assuming this passes, before and after, is there any impact to our budget? I mean, were we counting on, I hate to position it as theft, but did the budget include the full value of the foreclosured property? And therefore now our budget will not be receiving that going forward?
No, it has nothing to do with the budget.
Okay.
Zero. Nothing to do with the budget.
But if this were to happen, it could be, for lack of a better term, like a potential windfall any particular year. Is that fair?
If it doesn't happen.
Right. If this does not, no, if this does happen and we were to sell a foreclosed property for its full value, that would go into the budget.
No, it would go into a special revenue fund. So it would
Oh.
not go into the budget.
Nanachka, could you say a little bit more about just the mechanics? Because we haven't encountered this situation before.
So it would just go into a sale of real estate fund, and you could use that fund for any lawful purpose. There might be a period of time that you have to hold it. I'm not sure. That's more the treasurer's side for the tax title, but yeah, we've never done it before. We've never.
But for all intents and purposes, it's the same as free cash.
I'm not 100% sure if it holds any restrictions.
Okay.
I think so, but I don't want to say for sure, just in case.
Okay.
Let somebody tell me if this is a fair statement. So right now, because we have never actually done this before, we haven't planned for or like budgeted even hypothetically for what we would do with the proceeds of a home, right? But if the legislature were to enact legislation that changes this, that would affect our ability in the future to maybe have the full amount of a home proceed sale go into that kind of a fund that Anashka was describing. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think that's an accurate statement, yes.
And Brian, that you said it much more eloquently, but that's exactly what my question was driving towards.
Got it.
And this would have to be something, like Brian said, changed on a state level. There's nothing we can do as the town of Bolton.
Do people have thoughts about whether they want to make a recommendation?
My personal feeling is the no recommendation is appropriate, if for no other reason than the title of this citizens petition is probably something we don't want to wade into.
Yep. I think a no recommendation makes sense. So is there a motion to make no recommendation on Article 13?
I move we make no recommendation on Article 13.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Craig,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
and I am yes as well. Okay, we don't vote on Article 14, so I think that we're done. So we'll just
Jenny, if you're with us, can I ask one suggestion for that last, prior to the authorizing town vote for the election? On the recommendation, Brian, could you bring that back up again?
yeah. One sec.
I think just to make it clear to the voters, because for the select board, I believe the advisory committee recommendation was no recommendation, and whatever number that you have this evening. But I would say, for use an example for us, no recommendation in parentheses, 2 in favor of no recommendation, to emphasize, because it's confusing. It says no recommendation and then 2 in favor. I would say 2 in favor of no recommendation. Just to make it clear.
We struggled with that as well. And we just deferred to what we did in the warrant last year. But yeah, I agree that making that as clear as possible is
I would just
worth taking a look at.
Yeah, 2 in favor of no recommendation. This way, there's hopefully a little bit more clarity.
Mhm.
Because I'm as sure as I am, there's going to be somebody who is going to be confused by that.
The other way we toyed with was unanimous vote of no.
I know.
Yeah,
No,
we
a
toyed
thousand
with
times
it.
no. I know. You try to make it as clear as possible. I understand.
Stan, I think your suggestion is probably the clearest and the cleanest, so we'll
Okay,
do
thank you.
that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And then,
Okay,
of course, asks, will we have the same thing for the advisory recommendation?
Yeah. We'll do
Yep,
whatever.
I'll make them both, I'll make them both, if you vote the same, I'll make them appear the same.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, we're gonna be reviewing our draft statement, which is mostly finished, but I'm gonna have to change a few numbers after tonight's meeting. But before we get into that, I just want to talk about the stabilization fund for a moment.
Brian, I'm sorry, is there anything else advisory needs their town administrator for?
I think this part actually,
Okay,
just to stick around and make sure you agree with the way I'm thinking about it.
okay.
Okay, so what I did was oh, I'm sorry. Gosh, my computer's a mess right now. All right, can you see that? What I did is I have our policy language regarding the stabilization fund. And according to our policy, we're trying to maintain a stabilization fund balance of 3 to 5% of the current operating budget. Okay, so our current balance before the withdrawal is that. This is our operating budget. So if we didn't make the withdrawal, we're at 3.63%, which is compliant with the policy. Proposed Article 11 would take 345 out of it, right? Which would bring our stabilization fund balance down to 712. So after annual town meeting, our balance would be, well, our ratio percentage would be 2.44%. So we would then be below. And according to the rest of the policy, if any necessary withdrawal drives the balance below the minimum level, which this would, because we say our minimum is 3, then the withdrawal should be limited to 1/3 of the general stabilization fund balance. We're okay there because 1/3 of the current balance is 352, and we're only going to take out 345, so that's fine. But we need a plan to replenish the fund to the minimum level within the next 2 fiscal years. So basically what I did was I took our current operating budget number, I increased it by 6% 2 years in a row to say, basically, this is just a rough number where we'd be in FY26. In order to be at 3% of that number, we would need to have a stabilization fund balance of 983 for FY26. And so we would basically, to get from 712 to 983, we would need to replenish 270,000 over the next 2 fiscal years, which is about 135,000 per year for 2 years. If we change any of those assumptions, the number would have to change. But I guess I just want to be mindful of the fact that we are supposed to have a plan. I think this plan makes sense. But we'll just have to remember, like, we're ending this fiscal year with 600,000 of free cash. I think we should basically be planning to have at least 135,000 of that next year devoted to replenishing the stabilization fund.
Oh, that's fine, but if we're taking over 300 grand out, a total replenishment of 270 doesn't sound like we should be replenishing at least as much as we've taken out.
So
the target is 3%.
We could do more. You're right. So basically, what I've
No,
done here is
I know what the target is, but we should be striving for more than that. And so, I mean, I think the goal should be, we should be putting back at least what we've taken out, and then some at some point. But I think the plan should be to put back what we've taken out, not less.
Well, I would add to Stan's point, Brian, I like your model, but I would add one factor, which is what's the average drawdown for the stabilization fund over the years? Because your model doesn't assume of any drawdowns after this point. So surely there's another drawdown that we would need to factor in. Therefore, to Stan's point, we need some buffer.
Yeah.
Greg, if I can help in that area, in the 14 years that I've been here, this is only the second drawdown from the stabilization fund.
Yeah, we very
Okay.
rarely touch it.
Got it.
Well,
Bob
but that-
Zakansky
and
has
that, and that's fine, but I think, I think we should be looking at things potentially getting less good than more good. And we need to get it back to at least to where we were, not less than where we were.
If it's helpful, when I put together my capital plan, and I recommended this, I guess my unstated assumption, I guess I shouldn't assume anything, but my unstated assumption was that the get well plan would be to put back the amount that we took out.
And also, if you recall, in many years past, we actually put money into the stabilization fund. We haven't done that in a long, long time.
Yeah, Bob, you had a comment, Bob Zakansky?
Yeah, the 135, 351, that gets you up to 3% in 2 years. But there's nothing here that says that the contribution has to stop and be, the whole contribution and the whole refund has to be done in 2 years. So we could go on for 3 or even 4 years at 135 to accomplish, to build up the fund.
Right.
But I mean, so I think Brian's point here is that this is the minimum it's going to take to be in compliance with our policy. But I think there's another question about what level should the stabilization fund be. When it was first established back in the 1980s, it was they committed 5% of their whole budget in 1 year to establish the stabilization fund. And it stayed that way for 20, 25 years. It's only been since not 2010, I think, that it's been dropping down below 5%.
Yep.
Not because we're taking money out, but because the budget's going up.
Yep.
And so I think that there needs to be a discussion about what level should it be. Personally, I'd like to see it closer to 5, but that's not going to be settled here tonight.
Yep.
But if we walk away thinking that 135 is the minimum for the next 2 years, and then it's got to continue for a couple of years after that, I think we're in a good place.
Yep. No, we got to start somewhere, but yes, we shouldn't stop at 2 years at 135. I agree with you, Bob. And it should be closer to 5%. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I think just to make this clear for future, I'm just gonna, this is the total minimum replenishment amount, minimum replenishment per year. Yeah, that's all I'm trying to illustrate. Okay, and then
Can I say something real quick?
no, you can't. Moving right now. Go ahead. Go ahead, Natasha.
John and I just today had a discussion about that. It'd be a good idea after town meeting, after everything, to revisit all of our financial policies and reaffirm them and revote them, because it's been about 5 years. So this is it'll be a good exercise.
Yep.
Great. Actually, relatedly, I wanted to show everybody our financial policy targets and how those are playing out, because they are incorporated into our statement. So our debt service policies, we say that debt service should be no more than 5 to 7% of general fund revenues. We're actually low right now, which is good. Our overall reserves should be in the level of 6 to 10%. We're on the low end of that. But just so that you know, this 6.32 number assumes approval of the $345,000 withdrawal from stabilization. So we're low, but it's not terrible. We're doing well with certified free cash. So basically we just take the free cash that was certified, compare it to the operating budget. We're in a good range there. I know we'll revisit this when we talk about our financial policies after annual town meeting, but right now it says that we aim to have 350. We're well over that because we're going to end up with 602 this year. And then general stabilization fund should be at least 3 to 5% of the current operating budget. This, sorry, that's gonna be lower because I didn't, sorry, we should be using this number instead of the 1 million. So this will be the one where we're underneath the target. And then we're fine with OPEB.
Mhm.
Any questions?
Well, looks good for them.
Okay.
Maybe a quick one for Nanachka. So the stabilization fund, this is a newbie question. Is that stored in a bank account somewhere earning interest, or how is that fund just held?
Yes, it's in Bartholomew, and Kristen is in charge of that, but it is making interest. Good interest.
Got it. Thank you.
Related question. So I know that we don't typically make drawdowns of the stabilization, but when I look at the budget spreadsheet that you sent, it looks like there was like roughly 7,000 or something that came out over the last year. Do you know what that would be, Nanachka?
That would be the market unrealized gain or loss. So paper losses.
Okay.
You have to show it at, unfortunately on June 30, 2022, the market wasn't doing very well.
Okay. So when I see it's 9,857. That's not because we spent it, because I was like, we didn't appropriate out of it.
No,
last year.
it looks like it, right. But if you look at it on a daily basis, it'll be, you could look at it every day, just like your 401k. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. But
Got it.
yeah.
Well, lately, mostly down.
Dawn, I think
Long term.
Dawn, I think the only thing
Long
we're going to do now is look at the statement. So you probably don't have to stick around if you don't want.
Okay, well, all right, I appreciate that. I just want to make sure that everything had been covered that you needed before.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. I'd like to congratulate or thank advisory really on all the work you've put in this year. Just like
Yes.
advisory does everywhere.
Yep.
You've all done a really, really good and difficult job. And as the town administrator, I appreciate the working relationship that I have with advisory. Not every town administrator is as lucky as I am.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your work too.
All right, have a good night.
All right, good night. All right, then just let's take 5 minutes or so. These numbers are going to have to change a little bit because at the time I did these, I didn't have the 100,000 for inspections. But basically, pointing out how much we're raising by taxation, point out what our free cash is, and it was up from last year. Explaining that we're going to use like 580 of free cash for operating expenses. So this total projected expenditures number is going to change a little bit because when you factor in the 100,000 for inspections, it's going to go up, but so will our total revenue. Education is 64% of the operating budget, and I note that our Minuteman assessment is up 34% due to higher enrollment of Bolton students. I don't know if people want to add anything there, but I thought for Minuteman, that was the majority of the explanation. Debt service is down. We're not proposing any borrowing in FY24. Obviously, there may be a special town meeting later this year, but at the moment, we're not proposing any borrowing. And then our employee benefits are up a lot, but it's because our Worcester County retirement assessment is up and our OPEB ADC is up like 125,000. And then this part is really short because we really just have the two articles, Article 11 and Article 12. And then I'll update these numbers again if anything has to change, but those are the targets that we just reviewed. I realized that this one doesn't have, this one just has overall reserves. It doesn't have stabilization as a percentage of operating, so I could add that in to show, I guess, that we're going to be going below the target. I think there would be some value in
Yeah.
doing that.
I think it sounds like a good idea, Brian. Is it worth adding a line in here that says, we recognize we're below the target and we have a plan to recover this in 2 years?
Yep. Yeah, I think I'll put a note somewhere, maybe like right here.
Yeah.
Any
Brian,
other, no, go
Where,
ahead.
where you show like increases to like the town budget and town operating and stuff, could you actually put a dollar amount in addition to the percentage?
It's right in this column. You see,
All right.
the dollar
Okay.
exchange.
All right, that's fine,
Okay,
because I think sometimes the voters get a bit, when they see a number of certain percent relative to the percent of what the school budget's going up. It tends to put things in better perspective when we see how relative to what the school's going up, maybe ours is not quite as high, even though the numbers might be on a percentage basis higher.
right. Yeah, and actually, now that I'm looking at this public safety number is going to look even bigger because the 100,000 for inspections is going to be in there. So it'll look like it's a $316,000 difference, but it's offset by the revenue. Okay, so whenever we figure out our next meeting, which will be Thursday or Monday, I'll have the slightly revised numbers, but I'm assuming everybody's generally okay with the substance. Good, so it should just be a pretty quick approval. And I'll send you the draft once all the numbers are finalized. Okay, Ninotchka, I'm relying on you to let me know whether there's anything else we need to do tonight.
I don't think so. I think everything, it's a really short warrant. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's really the budget, and you guys have spent months working on it. Like I said, I'll do the spreadsheet tomorrow with all the, you know, the numbers for Article 3 and go through my formulas and stuff, but I think it looks good.
Okay,
Natasha, can you send me a copy of the final budget when it's all done?
Absolutely.
The Excel spreadsheet? that we're
Yeah,
using?
please.
Sure,
To
no
me as
problem.
well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I have a quick question for Jenny before we go. Jenny, do you have all the back minutes that we owe you, or are you waiting for anything from me and Bill? Other than the last tonight and last week?
Jenny may have had to step away for a minute.
Okay, I'll shoot her a note.
Okay,
Bob, there's one other outstanding that I need to complete.
Okay,
I can't remember
Sorry.
the date off the top of my head.
I had Windows open on my phone on top of Zoom and couldn't get back. I had a panic moment just there. I believe I have everything. I'll do an inventory tomorrow. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I haven't really done a full inventory, but I'll reach out if I'm missing anything.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
okay. Well, we'll get another meeting scheduled. In the meantime, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Yeah,
night, everyone.
thank you, and
Good
Good night.
congratulations on another good year.
Thank you. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.